Hello, everyone. Welcome back again to the XR Summit. My name is Cureton, Senior Journalist for XR Today. And we have on two amazing guests to speak about the Transitioning Your Business to the Metaverse session. First, we have on Vishal Shah, General Manager of XR and Metaverse for Lenovo. And we have on Saul Rogers, Global Director of Innovation for Magnopus. So thanks for joining us today for this conversation. Do appreciate your time.
Pleasure.
Okay, great. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go ahead and get started with the conversation, and we'll just go ahead. Firstly, I'd like to ask each of you to briefly introduce what you do, especially with the metaverse and how it affects your clients. Vishal, take us through that one.
Yeah, I'll go first, Dimon. Thank you for the initial intro. My name is, like you said, is Vishal Shah. I am the general manager of the AR, VR, and Metaverse enterprise business here at Lenovo. So we work closely with our customers in enabling the roadmap to the enterprise with a complete set of solutions, hardware, software, and services.
Right. So, Rogers, take us through yours.
So here at Magnopus, we've been really dedicated for the last 10 years to one mission, which is kind of uniting the physical and digital worlds with better experiences. And along that way, we've been pretty proud to work with the likes of Disney to do all the virtual production for The Lion King, which set off this current wave of LED volume work. We've also been working with Sony, with Pixar, with NASA. But the last couple of years, we've been really dedicated on one very large project where we created a digital twin of the entire World's Fair, the Dubai Expo 2020. That entire four square kilometer site was accessible by anyone, anywhere on the planet, being able to walk its streets and see its experiences, which brought together 200 countries, 200 experiences, 200 pavilions. And throughout it, we also layered on augmented reality to enhance that entire site for those physically there. We feel it's an incredible virtual slice of what the metaverse could do. But as we all know, it has so many things to so many people.
Brilliant. Thanks for sharing those. And so we're going to dive right back into our conversation for today with the metaverse, the big topic, the big elephant in the room that everyone's trying to solve, put together. We wanted to talk briefly about the first question about targeting and objectives. So which targets and objectives do most enterprises seek when they plan to integrate their operations into metaverse platforms? Vishal, start us off with that.
Yeah, Demon, it's a great question. Targets and objectives, to us and to our customers, whether it's not about the technology, it's about the outcomes, right? So what we're seeing, especially with the current labor shortage in the market, global labor shortage, how do we upskill and right skill a labor force that's relatively new and relatively untrained, right? So the customers are looking for these kind of ROI solutions and they look at the AR, VR space as a great way to train your employees to collaborate in the 3D environment. And to create some of these solutions that will really help upskill and train these new employees, right? So that's a big part of what they're looking for. The second part of what they're looking for is business continuity, right? So whether it's fixing something, an engine or a turbine in a remote place, so you can dial back in to a remote expert, or through AI serve up a step-by-step instruction on how to do a preventative maintenance or fix something on the fly. Something that AR, VR, and digital twins are able to provide at a much lower cost, and also with a great impact to environmental and safety benefits as well. Because now instead of flying 5 people over, you've got a semi-expert there who can now fix it with some remote assistance. So these are the kind of outcomes we can actually serve up today with the help of digital twins, AR, VR, and as we ramp up into the enterprise metaverse as well.
Okay, brilliant. So how about take us through that one as well? Like, what would you say? How would you say your company and business relates to that?
Well, it's pretty interesting. Everyone's looking for the consumer to become part of the metaverse and be kind of touching it. I believe they already have been through the games industry. I believe anyone playing World of Warcraft was playing a version of the metaverse. Anyone playing Fortnite is already considered themselves a digital native. But when we look at enterprise, there are kind of two ends. There's utility, those that want to use it to improve their operations, their business, their experience internally, and then there's externally. How do I then communicate and reach people through a new platform? or even create digital products. So if you look at the consumer end, there's the idea of, I have a physical product line, but can I create a digital product line? Can I empower that via NFTs? Can I sell not only sneakers in the real world, but can I sell sneakers in the virtual world? It's an incredibly complex thing because we have to create a construct for these objects, these assets, these products to live and experience. But there's a real appetite for how do I create in that new space, because just the same as any other e-commerce, it has instant sales opportunity to a global audience without any warehousing costs. So it's quite exciting. Within the enterprise space, it's very similar to what Vishal was talking about. For us, those immersive technologies are far more tangible in the near term for point use cases within a business. As you were talking about training, it's phenomenal. With the Lion King, they wanted to shoot that movie completely digitally, but they had this incredible talent base of experts that were used to using physical tools. So we gave them those physical tools in a virtual environment. The director, the DOP, the cinematography, all wearing headsets with traditional camera technology, and they were now standing on Pride Rock shooting the movie as if they were really there. So flipping those tools around and now making them similarly, utility to create content experiences is really exciting. How I think those tools can kind of layer in where we want to go next.
Great answers. And I know that we talk a little bit about like some of the assets that you would use, some of the different, visuals and the creative content that would go into making those experiences very unique. And also, with a lot of what we say, verisimilitude, which would give it the chance to really have a profound effect on the viewers. I wanted to ask this question to both of you. We talk about real-time 3D assets, or at least, creative content. These things are empowering firms to build relationships and build brand trust with clients and consumers. So how does your company do that in this specific context?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to us, and in general, if you look at the construct of Web 3.0, it is the 3D transition of our current 2D internet, right? So for us to really define the Web 3.0, 3D content is going to be a big part of what we do. And I think Saul mentioned, kind of touched on this. The ability to convert the physical into digital, largely via digital twins, has become a great aspect of how we can really make this industry 4.0 revolution work, and how it can be optimized and how it can be made cheaper, right? So the idea that we can now do millions of simulations on a digital twin, or millions of designs that you can actually emulate a car on and try it out before you insert it back into the production line, it's a huge saving. It's a huge game changer for our customers, right? So this 3D content is key. The other big element is how people consume the content that companies like Souls create, right? It's one thing to create the content, but for the first time now, we're seeing two key intersection of technologies. One is around 5G low latency networks, whether it's millimeter wave, mid-band 5G, that really allows you to stream these digital contents, which are millions of gigs from a remote edge. And then the other part is like actual head-worn devices, which are becoming more and more compact, where the optical quality is getting into 4K plus, and they're becoming usable for 30 minutes to 90-minute kind of periods of times, right? So whether you're doing a digital twin operation in the field, or you're sitting in a stadium and trying to enjoy experience the particular soccer play or football play in 3D, you can now all do it with the combination of what's going on in the content space, as well as some of the device and network space as well.
Brilliant. And I know that those 3D assets, you have to put them at a painstakingly precise level in order for them to work for each of the enterprises that you work with. And Lenovo's Think Reality platform also kind of serves as a good base for doing so. So I'll take it to you. I would ask you the same question. For you, how do your real-time 3D assets and the content that you create actually lead to building that brand trust for clients?
Well, there's two types of clients: those that want absolute accuracy, perfection into their product, their characters, their movies, their IP, and those that want, are less precious about the content and more understanding about the ideas that we have to optimize to make these things run currently in real-time engines. And there's always a play-off between the two. If you're working with Jaguar Land Rover, their vehicle needs to look like their vehicle because they've spent a lot of time and effort designing something beautiful. a few years ago, we launched their electric car, the iPace, using virtual reality, one of the first in the world to ever do that. And we spent probably 80% of the optimization graphics budget just on the vehicle's interior, because that was the thing that the audience was going to be in the most, and we needed to understand the beauty, the quality of the leather, the stitching, and everything else. So within that, that was actually a handcrafted process to use 3D artists to create that asset to the highest quality it could possibly be. I think there's an opportunity at the moment where there are maps of the world. Google has a map of the world. Apple has a map of the world. There's a few others that have done this idea of 3D scanning the roads, the streets around us. But there is this opportunity to create 3D assets just for using, a large data set and artificial intelligence. And I think that process is about to kind of revolutionize the idea of asset creation, asset optimization, asset delivery. If you just look at any of the content that's coming out of the Mid-Journey platform, where a conversational AI is generating entire environments, 3D assets, renders, experiences, it's not that far a leap to say, well, do you really need to spend, have a entire 300-person team to create digital assets of these objects around the world, when you can just say, I'd like you to create this for me, and it just generates it for you on the fly. So I'm really excited about how AI is going to revolutionize asset creation and optimization.
Yep.
Brilliant answers. And also, since you mentioned Jaguar Land Rover, shout out to Coventry.
Yeah, and just to add,
Yeah, Vishal, yeah, would you like to add?
yeah, and just to add to what Saul said, some great points there. I think as we look at the revolution, the metaverse revolution, and Web 3.0, even the way we interact with each other, right? What should a website look like going forward? It'll probably be some sort of a 3D way of rendering data, 3D way of rendering your products. So those are going to be key elements of how we design for Web 3.0 to be successful. Those design UI UX elements are going to be a key part of what needs to be done, and that's where I think companies like Magnopus are going to be at the leading edge of that, and we're going to be at the leading edge of delivering some of that content. And if you look at what a salesperson can do in the future, right? If he or she wants to show a new heart stand, the whole idea would be that now that PowerPoint is now in a 3D format. You can actually walk around it, you can design it, you can go through and see what the changes are in that particular heart stand or a consumer packaged good, and that'll be the revolution in 3D and content, and we're already seeing that being built in a major way.
It's just building on that. It's about one of the part of your question was building trust. The current internet is just a newspaper, like it's boxes and text, and and some of those boxes maybe have a video inside it. But when we were first crafting the internet, there were some people trying out to create a 3D internet, but it didn't have the technology to power it to make it feel the way that we consume the world around us. We are visual 3D people. So one of the challenges whenever we look at an image is we are taking in the picture and we're trying to analyze it to work out whether the image looks like the object, the product, the experience, the person that we're looking at is accurate. When you use augmented reality, and such as the IKEA application, I can look at furniture within its environment in 3D, in context. And that gives a level of authenticity, of trust to a product, instead of thinking, I hope it looks like the picture. I've seen it. This is what the thing looks like. And so it breaks down that barrier of physicality, instead of me needing to go to the store to experience it, to try on the glasses, to look at the product. If I can now experience it in 3D and it's, as you said before, trusted, I think it's going to change a lot of how we do commerce.
Absolutely. And I know a few other companies like I think there's Avatar. They're another company that kind of works in that space, and they've been showing. And also, other companies like Nextech AR, they also create these 3D assets so that they can build that brand trust between people, whether or not they're fitting new parts in an engine, or if they're building an entire set for their TV, or changing things around in the house. So this brings us to one question. I wanted to ask you a little bit about Industry 4.0. It's a bit of a nebulous term at this point in time, but I know that we have some experts here that can kind of dig into it and see what they can, speak about that particular subject. So I'm going to go to you quickly first, Saul. I'm going to ask you, what is your definition of Industry 4.0, and how does your enterprise actually look at it?
I'm happy to call it the metaverse. I think, if you look at it in traditional senses, it's networks, it's IoT, it's 5G, it's cyber physical, there's a few other kind of big enterprise terminologies that come together. But if you round it all together, I really think it's the next evolution of the internet. It is the metaverse. And so with Industry 4.0, it's about, do you remember the time when we talked about digital, digital transformation for a business? And all we really meant was like email probably was most businesses' digital transformation. When we talk about metaverse transformation for a business, it's a fundamental shift in how we can operate the business, from all of the tools for meeting, experience, communication, networks, remote working, infrastructure, IT, legit, like all of it can change. But then also the clients we're working with, we're not talking about, as I said a minute ago, how we market your physical products. We're talking about how they're opening up digital product lines, which is a completely new business. And so that industry revolution is as big as when factories were automated. That changed the entire industry, the business, the culture, the delivery, the cost basis. And that's the same thing we're seeing with Industry 4.0, in my opinion.
Excellent words. And Vishal, take it on with us and tell us your same, thoughts and opinions on that.
Yeah, I mean, Saul put it very well. I mean, that it's sort of, to me, Industry 4.0 was the conversion from physical to digital, largely driven by sensors, IoT data, and the beginning part of AI. I feel the industry is now moving towards an Industry 4.5 or even an Industry 5.0, as Saul said, as we look at this Web 3.0 revolution come in, because now the digital data is now being converted into 3D data and 3D digital twins, and the ability to interact with them in 3D as well, right, which was missing. I feel the Industry 4.0 revolution for way too long was confined by 2D, artificial 2D screens that were limited to like 10 inches or 20 inches. But now with AR devices, VR devices, we now have a complete spatial immersive experience that is infinite, and goes on perpetually, right? So those are kind of the powerful tools that we have that can be used in retail, they can be used in advertising, they can be used in training, and whether you're sitting behind the Audi car to experience movies in a 3D format, or whether you're in an Audi showroom and you want to experience what that new car looks like, or if you're sitting at home and you want to design your own Audi, or you're sitting in the factory and designing an Audi, all these experiences can now be brought together with this whole Industry 4.0, 5.0 revolution.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, good words as well. And thanks so much for sharing that with us. So yeah, I guess what we're going to do, we're going to wrap things up for us today. Thanks so much. We've had on today Vishal Shah, General Manager of XR and Metaverse for Lenovo. And we've also had Saul Rogers, Global Director of Innovation for Magnopus. So please be sure to follow these two companies who are doing great things in the XR space. And yeah, let's see what the future holds, as I always say. So once again, my name is Cureton. I'm Senior Journalist for XR Today, and we are still at the XR Summit 2022, Transitioning Your Business to the Metaverse session. Thanks so much for joining us today. We really do appreciate your time and attention, and have yourselves a wonderful time for the rest of the summit. Bye now.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Tim.